Now, very often when we want to delegate a role or a task to somebody, we look at the person as a whole and we think they've been really successful at this task, they would be great at that task too. And then so we delegate the task to them without teaching them exactly what that specific task involves. Situational leadership is a leadership style that involves leading the person based on the task you have asked them to do, not necessarily the person that they are. So for example, I might have somebody who has a lot of experience with organizing weekends away for young people, but it would be a mistake for me then to assume that that young person could organize an event for parents. Those are two very different types of events. And so if I want to have train a young person to do something for the first time, it's really important that I follow something like situational leadership. So the first time, I'll give you a perfect example, the first time I taught my son to make me a cup of coffee. He's 4 years old, and so the first time I taught him, I directed him. I told him, do this, now do this, now do this, now do this. My son, he had no freedom to choose to do his own thing. He just had to follow the steps that I gave him, and I made sure he had everything in front of him that he needed to be successful. So he had no free will, he just had to do what I told him to do. My instructions were extremely directed. Then once he had done that a few times, my style was more coaching. So I was still leading the process, but I was allowing my son to explain what he would do next. So the first thing I would say is, Sammy, we're going to make a cup of coffee, so what do you need? These are the things that I've put on the side. Is there anything here you don't need? And he would say, well, I don't need the tea, for example. Then I'd say, okay, what do you do first? And he would say, I take the cup. Okay, Sammy, where do you put the cup? I put the cup on the coffee maker. Very good. Now what do you do? No, that's not right, Sammy. You don't take the sugar yet. First we have to put the coffee in the coffee maker. Do you remember that? Yes? Okay. So put the coffee in the coffee maker. So I'm allowing my son to begin to think for himself, but I'm still very clearly directing the process. So that's coaching. Then the next step is supporting and being supportive. I believe that my son probably now could make a cup of coffee for me, but I still want to make sure he's successful, so I'm standing there in the background. I'm making sure he has everything he needs to be successful. I'm allowing him to decide next what he's going to do. But if he's about to make a large mistake, I'll tell him, no, that's not the best thing, Sammy, is it? What do we do before we do that? Or why don't we do that? And at this stage, it's important that the person understands the why behind the what. So why don't we put tea in the coffee maker? And then once my son had shown that he knew how to make coffee, the next stage was just delegating. Sammy, could you please make Daddy a cup of coffee? So directing, coaching, supporting, delegating. It works when teaching a 4-year-old how to make coffee, and I think it works with teaching anybody how to do anything for the first time.